Hello and good afternoon, good evening, going into evening time. I hope everyone is well and doing as best as can be expected through these, I don't know, trying times, turbulent times. I don't know. But I hope you all are doing well. I'm going to wait for just a second to see if we get some people to join, and then I'm going to jump right into it. Thank you for joining. I see some people are hopping on. Thank you so much for joining. Um, if you can, click the like button, even though I haven't started talking. So you can wait until I start talking. I appreciate it. Okay, so thank you, whoever that is. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to talk about, thank you. Okay, one of the main problems with the unconstitutional child support system, and this is in my opinion, and a lot of people agree, is the use of the long ago outlawed debtor prison when parents allegedly owe child support debt. This practice was outlawed in 1833, yet society seems to think it's not only acceptable, but celebrated when parents are incarcerated for failing to pay child support debt. Never mind that it's illegal and that every jurisdiction in the United States should be holding a hearing and or providing safeguards to parents to determine ability to pay. Today I want to discuss a civil rights violation case that is beyond the pale of disgusting. I'm not surprised that here we are in 2021 and that this case that started in 2014 has not been decided already. And I'm not going to go into all the details of the case because it's 2014 to now, it's very detailed. But I'm going to put the link to the case and the article in the description so you can go back and read it. And if you have any other questions that I'm not going to cover here, because I'm just going to cover a couple of topics. If you join my videos before, I don't like to be on for too long. I get I don't like doing long videos. So um, you can go back and review the case and everything like that. So I'm gonna give you some facts on the case. And there, since the original plaintiff filed the lawsuit, some other people have joined the lawsuit. Other people, prisoners, parents that were prisoners. But I'm just going to discuss this. I'm just going to talk about the first plaintiff. His name is William L. Burrell Jr. That's Burrell. Uh, so he was paying approximately $55 per week for two children until he sustained a work injury in the early 2015. Um, and that left him bedridden and off from work for approximately 3 weeks. During the weeks following, he fell behind on his child support payments. Not a new scenario that happens to tens of thousands of parents every year. So parents are familiar. He was arrested. Parents are also familiar with this in May 2014 for failure to pay child support. Mr. Burrell was sentenced a couple of days after his arrest to two consecutive 6-month terms in Lackawanna County Prison. He could be released early if he paid the purge amount of $2,129.43. So just take that into account. You can buy your freedom, or he could have bought his freedom for $2,100, which he didn't have. Anybody that had the money and you had a choice to be behind bars or free, you're going to pay the money, which goes into the whole willfully failing to pay child support, which is the key to the whole child support system. Failure to pay has to be willful. So, of course, obviously, he didn't have the money to pay that amount or anywhere close. In the same sentence, he was ordered to immediate work release if he qualified. Once arriving to prison, he was told by prison staff that in order to qualify for work release, he would have to work for the Lackawanna County Recycle Center for 6 months, where he would be paid $5 a day. Prison staff told him that it was a prison's policy that child support prisoners specifically worked half of their sentence in the center and the other half in work release, and that unless they pay the amount set by the court to obtain their release. So again, this is a debtor prison. You have the money, you can buy your freedom. On May 22nd, 2014, Mr. Burrell received a court order transferring him from the Lackawanna County Prison Community Service Program, to that program. The order also stated that he, quote, is to be granted work release, house arrest status on 11/11/14, contingent upon positive work ethics and successful completion of the community service program, end quote. A positive work ethic, and you're in jail, forced to work for $5 a day for a fake debt and a fake crime. Thanks, Nick. Hey, Samaj, I'm gonna read some. I'm gonna go through the facts and then I'll read the comments, but I had to stop. Thanks. So, where was I? The order also states. Okay, so the order also stated that Mr. Burrell, quote, if he failed to abide by all conditions set by the community service house arrest work release program or fails to return to the official detention center, a bench warrant will be issued for his arrest and escape felony charges will be filed. So we went from a misdemeanor contempt of court charge to he's facing a felony if he should happen to not work or whatever like that. So, or I'm sorry, escape felony charges. So I don't even know what that means. And what does a felony have to do with any of this? But okay, because he would not qualify for work release because he was eager to pay his child support debt and regain his freedom and lacking any other option, Mr. Burrell was compelled to begin working at the center on May 28th, 2014. The lawsuit filed by Mr. Burrell and other defendants, and like I said, I'm going to be brief on the charges because I'm going to talk about a couple of child support issues. But there are certainly issues here that violate labor laws. And this Lackawanna County, this case is not independent of other cases. Like there's other cases like this. I know you guys hear of the prisons getting cheap labor and all that kind of stuff, using cheap labor. So this is, but I'm saying this specifically for child support. Let me see. So the plaintiffs were seeking to hold defendants accountable for forcing people convicted of civil contempt of work to work in abominable, sorry, and hazardous conditions at the county-owned recycling center and for profiting from the forced labor. Escape, like I guess from a work camp, but they're going to hit them with a felony, even though the whole charge, Morton, is a misdemeanor. It's crazy. They'll turn you because you owe money on a child support debt. They'll charge you. They'll make you a criminal for one. Then they'll make you take it from a misdemeanor to a felony, all because you can't afford to pay. So you're being criminalized for being poor, essentially. I'm good, Samaj. How are you? So, okay, so from the forced labor. Okay, so one of the defendants in the lawsuit is Lackawanna County itself. The county should also be sued for violating the father's right to due process. Based on the Lackawanna County Rule 1910.25 Enforcement Support Order, Civil Contempt, Section 1. That's a mouthful. Okay, so a critical issue in the contempt proceeding is your ability to pay and comply with the terms of the support orders. And this is not exclusive to Lackawanna County. This rule applies to every jurisdiction and on a federal level. You have to willfully fail to pay before they can proceed, or they're supposed to proceed with any contempt of court charges. That's just, it's written everywhere. So a critical issue in the contempt proceeding is your ability to pay and comply with the terms and order of the support order. Oh, I just said that. Sorry. So Section 3 of that same rule says if the court finds that you have willfully failed to comply with this order for support, you may be found in contempt of court and committed to jail, fined, or both. I thought we did, Morton. Hey, House Hunter. Okay, so being injured at work, which causes one to be bedridden, does not meet the criteria for willfully failing to pay. Under their own rules, the contempt of court charge should have been dismissed immediately. Unfortunately, as we know, there's no accountability within the child support system. So instead of them dismissing this case and not holding him in contempt, they went on and sent him into prison, sentenced him to a year, and forced him into this work release program for $5 a day. Keep that in mind. The plaintiffs are claiming that for at least 14 years at the time in 2014, pursuant to an agreement between Lackawanna Recycling Center and the Lackawanna County Solid Waste Management Authority, the county had operated a scheme to compel the work of civilly detained child support debtors for the benefit of the county, the private companies, and the individual owners. This is not far-fetched. In fact, this happens every day, where child support authorities have schemes to compel the work of child support debtors for the benefit of everybody and every entity except for the children and the parents, whether they are civilly detained or not. So if a parent cannot work due to illness, disability, unemployment, underemployment, I should take that one out. A worldwide pandemic, the debt, of course, accumulates. $5 a day, the debt accumulates. And of course, there's punishments. Non-residential parents face the government punishing them by withholding one time. We know about the garnish your wages, but beyond that, withholding one time or reoccurring federal payments such as retirement, salary payments to vendors or contractors, and other federal payments. They deny your passport. I just posted something today because I've gotten several letters, not just one. I posted one where people are applying for their passports just to be denied because the passport has been revoked for allegedly owing child support debt. But they're not telling people, which they have to do, that their passport is possibly going to be revoked because of child support debt. You have to be able to respond to what they're claiming your passport or whatever action is being executed against you. You have to have the ability to respond. They have to contact you. So I did a video about that, and I also wrote an article. So you can go to my Facebook page, The Child Support Hustle, because the links are there if you want to go and check that out. If your passport has been revoked and you didn't get notified. So they also suspend licensed drivers, occupational, recreational, some places fishing, hunting. You can't even hunt or fish if you don't have any other means to feed yourself. They'll take your license to do that if you owe child support. They set liens on property. They report child support debts to credit bureaus. And of course, they lock parents up for contempt of court. Now they're making parents work for nothing and collect the money that may or may not be paid to the child. And we know that whole scheme where they keep the money, because we all know most child support debt is owed by low income parents. So more than likely, the custodial parent is or was low income as well. So there's some kind of government program involved. And if the custodial parent received any government benefits, they are mandated to assign their rights to any child support collected on that case over to the state. So that $5 a day, once collected, is not even going to go to the child. Forcing those jailed but not sentenced parents to confinement for work for little to no money is not new and is becoming more common by the day. And these fines and penalties overlap, making it more difficult to ever get out of debt and forever be enslaved to the system. In an article by Anna Wolf from Mississippi Today, she describes a man who worked to pay off all of his criminal fines to get his driver's license reinstated, just to have it suspended 3 months later because he was late on child support payments. The name of the game is not to hold a default silence. Well, that's true, Samaj, but the default judgment, that's what they want. They want you not to come to court so they can slap you with a default judgment and all that kind of stuff. But the crime in that is that they are forging the signatures saying that people are served, so they don't even know they're supposed to go to court. And they can't do, you're supposed to be able to answer. I don't care what the complaint is or the summons. You're supposed to be able to answer whoever is suing you. If they're going to, or whatever the action is, you're supposed to be able to say, wait a minute, don't suspend my driver's license because A, B, C, or D, you know. So, okay, Morton. Okay, so, and if he can't get to work because he can't drive, he falls further behind in child support debt, and soon he'll have a warrant issued for his arrest for that. In Mississippi, the sentence for failure to pay is a felony, and it carries up to a 5-year sentence for the first year and a fine of $100 to $500. And the second and subsequent charges mean $1,000 to $10,000 in fines or 2 to 5 years in prison. And of course, they can combine both. Okay, being charged with the felony means less, we know what that means, less job opportunities, less housing opportunities, more child support debt, and a greater chance of being rearrested for the same crime. And I use the word crime loosely. Again, we know that this is the only crime that you can go and serve your time, but the debt, you're still not paying off your debt. It's still going to accumulate. So, and it's not even a crime. So not okay. So not only that, if a man or mother, I'm sorry, risks driving on suspended license and gets pulled over, he faces being issued a citation and or being arrested. Either way, he's back in the system. And really, in fact, he never left the system. So you see this vicious cycle, and this is all around debtor prisons. It started and has been approved because of the stereotype of deadbeat dad, and yeah, punish them to the fullest extent of the law, but it's spilling over to other people that don't have child support cases, that just owe traffic tickets or something like that. So now they're feeling the brunt of what it's like to be considered a second-class citizen through the child support system. So I made a video in response to a piece by that same writer about ways. Her article was called "How to Ways to Unfuck the Child Support System" or something like that, specific to Mississippi. So I made a video because I have all kind of ideas on how to unfuck child support. You know, I have them for days. I'm like, y'all can call me, ask me. We can sit down. We can fix it. I know a lot of people that just call them. So I put that video and the link in the article that I wrote as well. So that's just a side note. So another problem with Mississippi and the forcing people to work to pay back court fees and or child support is how it's executed. According to an investigation by Wolf, Michelle, I'm saying Liu, Liu, the Marshall Project, and the USA Today Network found that on January 1st, 2019, more than 200 people were held in 4 restitution centers in Mississippi. Why do they need 4 restitution centers in Mississippi? That's ridiculous. The more they were imprisoned until they earned enough to pay back child support debt. Most people owed less than $4,000. One man with unpaid child support ran his debt from a drug charge up to nearly $73,000. You start off with $1,000 of child support debt or whatever, and they combine them, you end up $73,000 in the debt. Most people just working 9 to 5s, you know, paycheck to paycheck, making ends meet, especially during a pandemic that we don't even know when we will fully recover from. We'll never get out of debt. You'll die in debt, and then they'll collect money on your insurance if you're fortunate enough to be able to afford insurance. Let me see. Right. That's why, Morton, this is a violation. The child support system violates more than so many. There's so many violations to equal protections, and one is that they do not treat married parents the way they do unmarried parents. Very simply, I mean, it's a violation. So, I would answer the complaints to my, well, if you haven't even did the DNA test, that's the whole bottom line with a child support case. They have to establish paternity. So, and they so unorganized. There's somebody that posted on my Facebook page and said that he had a hearing for a downward modification, and he showed the screenshots where he was in court, via Zoom or however the court, and there was nobody else there. Now he's trying to get a downward modification for whatever his reason, if he wasn't working, but they didn't even show up. And he went to it was two screens. And then they're going to blame him because for whatever. Now you saying you responded, they didn't respond, and then somehow they're going to turn around and make it like it's the non-custodial parent's fault. Nonsense. Okay, let me see where I'm not going over every claim. Oh, okay, but I will include the links to the lawsuit. Okay, so the last claim by in that lawsuit was by forcing parents to work in order to qualify for work release for a mere $5 per day. Parents were prevented from earning wages through work release that would benefit the debtors and their children who would receive the wages through child support payments. So, they're saying if they were able to go and make more than $5 a day, that money could be applied. But instead of giving them the opportunity, they made them work at this recycling plant for $5 a day, which how's that going to make a dent in any kind of debt to buy your freedom? It's slavery. So ultimately, it would be ideal for the money that would be collected, whether it was $5 or $500 a day, for the money to be paid directly to the children named in the child support lawsuit, because they always say this is for the best interest of the children. But you can't keep saying that and then keeping the money, stealing the money. After you say it so many times, you can only tell a lie so many times before the truth starts coming out. You can't say the system is for the children and steal the money. And you can tell that they're not putting the money towards the children. Check child poverty rates. Since this program has been in operation, child poverty rates haven't dropped significantly because they're keeping the money. Pennsylvania only pays for TANF families. Pennsylvania only pays a portion, $100 for one child, $200 for two children or more, to families receiving TANF or Medicaid. And Pennsylvania also forces custodial parents to sue the child for child support in exchange for child care benefits. So they even go beyond the pale, the TANF and Medicaid. Okay, they even, if you need child care, because maybe both the parents are working, you still have to sue. To reiterate how this system has little to do with children and everything to do with making money for the government, we can look at the TANF programs and the money that Pennsylvania and other states hoard instead of helping the most vulnerable. In 2019, according to the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities, Pennsylvania was awarded $717 million in a TANF block grant. Unspent block grants can be carried over for use in the future and for non-TANF related programs. Dig that. They can use that money for anything in their budget. It's supposed to be for low income children, parents, people. They can use it for anything. As of 2019, Pennsylvania had accumulated $496 million in unspent block grant money, but they're going to lock a parent up that was bedridden over $2,000, give him $5 a day, but they are hoarding. This was in 2019. I don't know what it was in 2014, but it was some millions, 496 million. The state only spent 151 million of the 717 million. They only spent 151 in basic assistance, 99 million in work activities for parents. Swear that they want to get parents to work and they need to work, but they don't invest any money in jobs. $0 was spent in child welfare. $0 was spent in tax credits. The state spent 153 million on other unspecified services. We don't know what those are. I got the return receipt in the mail. We said, stand by this as the good measure. So far, no response to what we asked for. Send me an email, and we'll go from there. Because I'm not familiar, Gabby, on what you're talking about. I'm so sorry. Um, so I went over all that to say that instead of locking parents up while violating their right to due process, they would rather make them slaves to the government, pay them slave wages, and claim that they care about the parent paying child support for the children. Lies. These violations have been going on for nearly 3 decades, and nobody has said a word because it primarily affected the stereotypical deadbeat dad. Not by accident, that was by design. Now, people who allegedly owe debts other than child support are finding themselves being treated like a deadbeat. But the difference is that they're being treated like a deadbeat not because they allegedly failed to provide for their children. They're deadbeats because they are too poor to pay a debt. That's right, WG. So we have to stop the government from prosecuting and incarcerating people for inability to pay and using debtor prisons, even though were outlawed in 1833. I'm asking you to please join me in signing the petition demanding that the Biden administration erase all government owed child support debt. You can find the link in the description. Oh, I didn't put it in the description. I'll add it, but you can also go to the childsupporthustle.com. In the menu, it'll say sign the petition. There's 2 petitions, but this one is the first one. Sign both of them, please. And if you haven't already subscribed and like the video, if you liked it, I hope it gave you some information. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends to tell a friend. Tell your family to tell your family. And don't forget to turn your notification button on. So when I go, because I'm gonna start making more videos because I want to get the information out, especially because if you have this tax credit allowance that's coming up, and they're supposed to start paying families in July. But one of the things that we are going to have to demand is that they stop forcing parents that go and apply for or have to apply for TANF, SNAP, Medicaid. Thanks more in public programs, especially during this pandemic and even after, because the child support system does not work. It has been proven ineffective. It punishes low-income parents. We have to make them remove the whole language that says and mandates that a parent that applies for public assistance has to sue the other parent for child support. That has to go. That has got to go. So let me see if I think I answered some questions. I try to stay on topic. Somebody says, because I'll start talking in the comments and then lose my place. And then all of a sudden I'm talking about something totally different than what I started off on. I'm working on it, y'all. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not. So all this I'm trying to get used to, but I'm trying to get the information out, and that's what's most important. And I hope that when I make these videos that you guys can use it and it helps you guys navigate this system and know what's going on, because they're not going to advertise if some celebrity buys a new purse or whatever, it's all over the place. But when they make parents work for $5 a day in some recycling plant for child support debt without giving them a hearing to determine if they could afford to pay or if they were sick, it's barely a whisper. And we have got to change that. It's going to a lot of that $717 million block grant going to a lot of places besides them kids, the kids and the parents that they claim that they're supposed to care about. That's for sure. Exactly. But I think This government program, the child support program, is operating just like they intended it to. Just like they intended it to. It's operating right, just because I say that to say, if it was going to, if they were proud, or they would let everybody know every aspect of it. They would let people know that this was a welfare recovery program. They would let people know that the money that child support is collected is going back to the government, that these children aren't getting the money. They would let, it would be total transparency. They will follow the guidelines that are in place, because that's what guidelines are for people to follow, so people are treated fairly. But we all know that they don't do that. They'll suspend a license without even letting the person know that they're suspending the license. They attach bank accounts without letting the people know that they're attaching the bank accounts. Hell, they'll take somebody to court, give them a default judgment, and make a kid, not their kid, their kid, and make them financially responsible for them. And that person never even knew about the child support case, about the judgment, default judgment. It happens, it's real. So everybody that you think is on child support is not on child support because they failed to take care of their children. That's just false. It's just not true. So we gotta, like, when we talk to people, we gotta change the way people think. Like, tell them the facts. That's what I always try to put out here. It's facts over emotion. Cause yeah, everybody have their story. You know, I'm a parent, so I got my story. You know, I'm older than my children are adults. I said that before, so I'm older, and I wish I would have done things different then. So this is, now that I know, I want to let everybody else know, like, don't, you know, there's these people's taking advantage of us. And I mean us as parents, low income parents, parents with money, good jobs, because we are not married, or because they feel like they can. And that's not right. If it's not right, it's wrong. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in with me. I hope this video helped you guys out. Don't forget to sign the petition, uh, subscribe. Don't forget to, I lost my train of thought. I was reading this, but this system is changing though. It's like piecemeal, like here and there, but they can't continue the scam, the hustle, what they've been doing, because they've been exposed. And they are getting exposed every day, more and more. So keep filing your complaints, keep fighting for your rights, keep advocating for yourself, and you will win. Don't give up. And oh, this is a side note before I go. I have my videos on here, and I used to work on individual cases. That's all I did. But right now, I'm not working on any individual cases. It's nothing more than I just don't have time to give 100% to individual cases. That's why I'm making these videos more, because I can hopefully reach more people. And the information I put out here will help you be able to, you know, file your own complaints and everything like that, because I just don't have time. As I've said before, if you see me posting about kidney donation, live kidney donors, I'm trying to get my father, donate a kidney to my father. And so I'm, you know, that takes a lot of work and doctor's appointments and all this kind of stuff. So I can't devote myself to the movement like I once did. So I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring your emails or not responding, or, you know, not answering your DMs. It's not on purpose. It's just, I just don't have time. And that's why I tell you, if I can, I don't work on individual cases anymore. Maybe after the surgery and we heal and everything is good, I might get back into working on individual cases. But right now, I can't do it. So hopefully the videos help you get through this and keep fighting, join with each other. Like I said, my Facebook page, there's a lot of people on there that network with each other. So yeah, I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure your notification button is on. If you're watching this on Facebook, come over to YouTube, subscribe. Yeah. So thank y'all. Keep fighting. Remember, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Let's go.